My name is Victoria, and I'm with Bashar Communications, and I just want to welcome all of you tonight. Thank you for joining us. So tonight's session is titled, You Are All Time Travelers. Bashar will go into more detail about how we create time through shifting through parallel realities and how we can more consciously navigate this. Tomorrow morning session starts at 11 a.m. and it is titled 2027, The Fulcrum of Contact. Bashar will explain certain cycles that have happened and how 2027 is a focal point of expansion for the beginning of contact. So yeah, that's about it. So other than that, I think we're ready to get started. Again, thank you so much for joining us and welcome. And now I'd like to introduce the very talented Darryl Anka.
Okay, everyone, have a good time. I will see you later. I will be taking a nap now. A little second day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. Once again, we thank each and every one of you and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission this day of your time. We will begin this transmission titled, You Are All Time Travelers, in the following way. First, a brief reminder of some things we have talked about regarding what time is. Time, remember, is a side effect of your consciousness shifting over and over and over and over and over and over again to different points of view of the same single moment of existence and making it appear to be different moments. You can use the analogy we have used before that these different moments are themselves parallel realities that can be illustrated as frames, if you wish, on a film strip. So each frame is its own reality, but it has no movement in it, no experience in it. In a sense, no awareness in it. No self-reflectivity in it. Each frame is a single snapshot, a static snapshot of a potential position, a potential state of being, so to speak. Therefore, when you move, when you shift your perspective, your consciousness, through the different frames, one after another, as you say, like a projector light, through a film strip, you get the illusion of continuity, the illusion of movement, the illusion that creates the experience of time and space and change and growth and difference. Now, if you will, look at the top page of your handouts, where you see all the different squares, one group, the A group, another group, the B group, and each has an arrow moving through it from left to right. In the A group, you see that all the squares represent different frames, different parallel realities that your consciousness will shift through to create the illusion of time. You shift through these parallel realities, these frames, billions of times per second, literally, to create that smooth illusion of physical reality and time and space. blinking through them so quickly you don't even realize that you're actually shifting from one reality to another that many times per second, but you are. Now, in the top example, the arrow appears to be going relatively straight from left to right. This is usually how your consciousness sort of perceives the idea, as a smooth continuity, one moment after the next, one progression after the next, one step after the next, in some sort of logical, continuous way or experience. Now, it can be, in a sense, that way. The frames could line up that way next to one another. However, more likely and more often, more commonly, the picture is actually more like group B. You're actually jumping all over the place into different frame moments as you determine for yourself what the next experiential frame ought to be that serves you best for whatever your belief system has to be or happens to be at that moment. Therefore, even though you may actually be jumping around, so to speak, now again, remember, this is an illusion even unto itself, because everything is actually here and now. All the frames are here and now. They're not really spread out like this. This is just the easiest way to simplify the concept in your three-dimensional reality. Fourth dimensional when you include the concept of time as you move through the frames, so to speak. But it is more like the idea of skipping around all over the place. Now, the point is you may not actually know you're doing that because it will still feel like group A, like the arrow in group A. It will still feel like you're just moving straight ahead, frame after frame, stepping stone after stepping stone in a logical, continuous progression with none of this jumping around. However, as you start to expand your consciousness, as your senses become more aware that you're creating the illusion of time and space, you may begin to experience what we will call breaking continuity. And breaking continuity can be experienced more often than not like suddenly things are happening in a more accelerated way. You don't necessarily experience what normally would have been the in-between moments. It's kind of the result of a how did I get here moment? How did that happen moment? There wasn't enough time for me to get to this place, but I got here anyway moment. Those kinds of slippages of space and time that allow you to experience a break in continuity is the result of your consciousness becoming more aware of the fact of group B. You're jumping around all over the place all the time anyway. So becoming more aware of that fact can actually allow you to perceive that you're jumping around like that all over the place and actually create the sensation of a break in continuity, so that time and space start skipping around, or you start skipping around within it in ways you couldn't imagine would be possible before. You can accelerate things, slow things down, take detours, and perceive them as you do them. Now, this is the basic framework that is happening with regard to what we're going to discuss about time travel and how you use this in various ways. So, you may turn to the second page, if you will, of your handout. Looks like a lot more fun there, doesn't it? Anyone flashing back to their schoolwork days? Oh, what do I have to memorize now? You have to memorize nothing. Just follow along. Whether you understand all of this, whether it all sinks in right now or not, is not the point. We will walk you through it. You will absorb whatever you need to absorb at this particular moment, but it's really not that difficult. Understanding, again, the basic premise that there are many different kinds of frame moments, parallel reality framework moments that you move through in your own way that create your sensation of moving through time and space. So, at the top, you see simply the basic layout, the idea that as you move through life and you go from being a baby to being a child to being a teen to being an adult to being a senior, these just represent major frame moments within the entire spectrum of your life, and the rows below them represent the same moments in your life. So, the idea is that time travel, in the way that your science fiction stories portray it, is not really the way it works. It is all about the idea of shifting to parallel realities that may be very, very similar to your own, and so you might not immediately be able to tell the difference that you actually haven't traveled in your own timeline, but I'm telling you that you haven't. And example number 1 gives you the perfect illustration of why that doesn't happen. If you look at the idea of, again, the symbol at the top, you go from the idea of the baby to the child to the teen to the adult to the senior. Then look at the first row of the second example, example A, and you go, all right, this person in the top row is a baby, and then they become a child and a teen, but as an adult, suddenly, they invent time travel, and they decide, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see myself as a child, a younger version of myself. Now, you would think, as most of your sci-fi stories propose to you, that you're actually going back to your childhood. You're not, in the sense that you recognize yourself as being an adult traveling back in time to meet a younger version of yourself. That's very different than what you experienced as a child, not having met an older version of yourself. That frame, when you went through your childhood, those frames are those frames. And if in those frames you never met an older version of yourself coming back and saying, hi, I'm your future self, then you can't change those frames. Those frames are fixed. They are those frames. The frame that just has you in it as a child and not your future self. So when you do then have the experience of traveling back in time, quote unquote, and actually running into your younger self and introducing yourself as the future self, that's taking place in a parallel reality where in that reality, that child met you. Not even from that child's timeline, but from another parallel timeline. But now you've become part of that child's timeline history. And now that's child 2, that's timeline 2, as you can see by the numbers in that example. And as you then interact with that child and that child grows up, that child still grows up as child 2. Now, when you decide, all right, well, I'm going to go back to my own time when I left, you can't do that exactly either. Because look at the diagram where it shows that the adult in the top row has left to go back to meet the child's self in the other reality. That frame doesn't include you anymore. It's blank, and it always will be. You can't go back to that moment. You can't go back to that reality. So when you decide to get in your time machine and again, quote unquote, go back to the future, you will find that you will be in a different parallel reality again. You will be the senior of that reality because now you've changed your own experience of history by meeting your childlike self, which didn't happen in the primary timeline. So you're skipping all over the place, becoming another version, in a sense, shifting your consciousness to become another version in another parallel reality of yourself. Now, look at the next example, the idea that says actual time travel rather than parallel reality time travel. If you actually, literally, went back in time in your own timeline, you wouldn't meet your child self, you would be your child self. Because your consciousness exists all the way up and down the timeline already. So the idea of literally traveling back in time in your own timeline means You simply experience yourself literally as the child again and are right in that moment where the child has no idea what it's going to grow up to be. You are literally that child and nothing else at that moment. It's almost like creating a loop where you're living it over again. That's what actually would happen in time travel, is you would not know you had time traveled. You would simply find yourself being the child exactly the way you did experience being the child, and you would have no idea you're going to grow up and invent a time machine. It would just be you experiencing yourself as the child. Now, at the bottom, you have a similar idea, but the dotted line means you're not actually physically traveling back in time. It's just that you're allowing your consciousness to, in a sense, slide back down the timeline and experience the idea of the child, but this is simply what you call a memory. That's what memory is. You're actually allowing your consciousness to slide up and down the timeline, but only your consciousness, and you are experiencing the idea of remembering what it was like to be the child in that moment, and sort of reliving that experience, but you're not actually committing fully to having time traveled down your timeline to be the child. You are simply allowing yourself to continue to remember that you are the adult having this experience of remembering that childhood moment. You are time traveling in your timeline, but only with your consciousness, not with your physical self. And that kind of time traveling you call a memory. Doing that kind of time traveling in the opposite direction, in what you call the future, is what you call the idea of being psychic and predicting the future. In a sense, again, there are still the engagement of all the different parallel realities, so on and so forth. There's all these probabilities. You don't necessarily know which one will be the absolute one that you will experience, but nevertheless, you can perhaps be sensitive enough to figure out the probabilities of what might happen and maybe move in that direction as you keep shifting through these parallel frames of existence. Is this making some sense so far? Yes. All right. If you do have questions or require clarifications about any of this, certainly you may do so if you have been called up for questions a little bit later. But right now, this is the fundamental idea and the fundamental understanding that lays the foundation for the concept that we are discussing this day of your time. Now, how do you start navigating these frames in a more conscious way to your advantage? How do you become an expert time traveler? This always goes back to the formula that we've given you. Now that you have a better understanding, or at the very least a diagram that your brain can relate to, now that it can actually see some form of layout, some presentation of how this works, and it can relate to those images, the idea of acting on your passion to the best you can with no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome is supposed to look like is actually your navigation tool. It will automatically guide you through the frames that are most representative of the path of least resistance, the path through these frames that is actually best for you. Go back to page 1. Look at diagram B, where the arrow seems to be jumping all over the place on its route through those frames. Now, as you really start aligning more with your passion, following that formula, allowing the tools in the kit of excitement to work to your advantage, and choosing to remain in a positive state, no matter what happens, responding to it in a positive way so that you can get the benefit from it, no matter how it looks, that will start to determine exactly what that path looks like. And every single time you make any alteration whatsoever in the belief systems within you, even the slightest alteration, the slightest change, that arrow that is jumping all over the place will completely change its form, and you will be skipping through it in a different path. The next change, skipping through it in a different path. The next change, skipping through it in a different path, all the way through. Why? Because as we have told you, every single change you make actually changes your past as well as your future. You're always in the present. So it's not like you're going to go, all right, well, the path starts out here, then goes there, then goes there, then goes there. Well, I'm going to make a change here, and so it might be different from that point forward. No, it will also be different from that point backward, because as you become a different person, from the linear framework point of view, you have to create a different history that brought you to the point of being the person you say you are now. That's how it works in physical reality. You have to have the continuity of having the past that works to make you the person you say you are in the present. Making sense? So the entire arrow, the entire path changes. So the idea is, again, you can navigate this more consciously. You can start experiencing more breaks in continuity, experiencing more flexibility, malleability, plasticity in space and time. Things can start happening much more synchronistically, much more magically. When you allow yourself to truly align more strongly with your passion, act on it, to ground it, to commit to it through your physical action, that demonstrates the energy, that creates the energy, that radiates the frequency, that acts as your rudder through these frames, through these parallel realities. And that will continue to determine exactly what path you are taking, so that you will always only then be experiencing the frames that are always to your best benefit, to your advantage, always representative of the path of least resistance, always representative of the path of connection to all things that are relevant to you in your life, always giving you exactly what you need, supporting you in that way, and always allowing you the freedom to choose to be who you prefer to be. That's how it works. Does this make some sense to you? All right. So let all of this just sort of simmer. Let it all sink in. The handout is yours to ponder at any time. You may have other insights that may come up just by the planting of this seed, but please understand, you are all already time travelers. This is your nature. You're not learning to do something you don't already do. This is for the purpose of helping you to become aware, more conscious of what you're already doing, so that you can utilize it to your advantage in a more conscious way, so that you can begin to truly expand your senses and become more sensitive to the changes that take place in your experience of reality, and learn to recognize when major shifts are actually occurring that are breaking your continuity, so that you can leap for joy at the quantum leap you have just made. In a sense, it can actually feel like, not that you're doing this literally, but can actually feel like you are skipping over frames. So the idea then is you will feel accelerated. You will feel, again, that there is very little resistance. Your challenges will all be exciting and expanding. You will grow from them, and you will be living the birthright that you deserve to live. So use this tool to your advantage. It is a powerful recognition to understand how reality works. When you can truly see the structure of existence and understand that you can use it to your advantage this way, many things will become very clear, and many questions that you may have had will be easy for you to answer. Yes? Yes. Yes. So we thank you for allowing us to share this tidbit of timely information. And we ask now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin your questions and dialogues if you wish.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
Fabulous day, and it's fabulous to be speaking with you.
And you as well.
And my question is, How do I restructure my spirit?
Restructure your spirit.
Yes, to restructure my body to the greater health and fitness I desire.
Well, again, the formula is the formula. Do you understand?
Yes.
The formula is the formula. Period. So the idea of acting on your passion to the best you're able with no insistence, yes?
On the outcome.
No insistence, no conditions, because you don't really know exactly why you are in the form you're in, do you?
Discovering why.
All right, and therefore the purpose of the form is to discover more of yourself in that particular way. Not saying you have to do it that way, but if that's what it's for right now, allowing that to be okay is what will give it the best chance to change if it needs to. Because if you're all right with what is, you use it up. You use it up to your advantage. As soon as you resist what is happening, you make it stick around longer because you're refusing to believe it has any business being there. If it's there, there's a reason that it's there, a positive reason you could glean from it that it's there. If you're not taking that stance, that state of being, that there must be a reason that serves me, why this is happening this way, you will never glean the positive effect from it, and you will make it stick around until you get the point that it must be serving you somehow. And as soon, paradoxically, as soon as you allow it to be what it is and learn from it what you need, it will start to change because you're using it up. But you can't refuse to believe that it belongs. Can't invalidate it. It's got to be there for a reason. It's got to be there for a reason.
Yes.
So as soon as you relax the need for it to change, you give it the best opportunity to do so. That's the paradox. That's the irony.
To show it what it has to show you.
Yes. You have to let it be there for the reason that it's there and learn from it so it can move on because it's taught you the lesson. It doesn't need to stick around until you get the point because you got the point. Yes? Then things are flowing. Things are changing. Remember, change is the constant. If something doesn't seem to be changing, you're not letting it because you're refusing to use what is there in the best possible way. You're assuming something's wrong. You're giving it a negative definition.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Is this helping?
It is helping.
All right. Can you relax about that?
Obviously, I'm working on it.
That's fine. Then that means that that's exactly what you are needing to do, is work on that. Mm-hmm. Relish it. Dive into it. Let's see what I can learn from this circumstance. Let's see what I can learn from the way things are, instead of wishing they were different, which invalidates the way things are.
Yes.
There is nothing. Are you paying attention?
Yes. Yes.
There is nothing more important than what's happening now. Mm-hmm. Nowhere else you need to be, nothing else that needs to happen that could ever be more important than what's happening now. Relish it, use it, rejoice in it, be grateful for it, appreciate it, love it, love yourself enough to do so. Everything will change. But you can't insist that it must. Otherwise, you're making your happiness conditional on the outside change instead of just saying, I will be happy no matter what's going on outside because I know that what's going on outside is just for my benefit as a reflective illusion.
And on the outside includes what's on the inside of the physical body?
It can. Very often it will. But you don't always know exactly what the symbol represents. That's why it can be not to your advantage to make assumptions about what you think it means or represents. Let it show you what it represents by really investigating it in the most positive way. Because it could be serving a tremendous positive purpose that you are simply completely unaware of at this point in your life. Maybe somewhere down the road, you might look back and go, oh, I get it. That's what that was for. I see now. It may not even be just about myself. It may have been a lot about what other people related to me about by this happening. And it served them too. And I was willing to do that. How strong am I? How loving am I to have done that for them? You never know. You can't always know what kind of an impact what you're going through might have on other people and how it may serve them as well as it serves you. Yes.
And
Yes.
are there moments of clarity where you know you're not guessing or grabbing at straws, where you'll just
Absolutely.
know?
That's why you follow the formula, in order to gain that clarity, because that's what it does. As you act on your passion to the best you're able, no insistence or assumption about the outcome, and stay in a positive state no matter how things look, it accelerates your energy. It uplifts, upgrades your vibration. And when you upgrade your vibration, you become more sensitively aware of all of the reasons things are happening, because you can see the structure of existence, and you can see the relationship of those things, and you can understand more clearly why they're happening that way. Mm-hmm. That's what it does. The formula does everything. Please, again, let us reinforce this for all of you. This formula, the tools in the kit, the idea of remaining in the positive state of being no matter how things look, this is not a philosophy. It's literally an instruction manual for how reality works. It's literally a description of the structure and nature of existence. It's not just a set of nice ideas. So if I were to give you an instruction manual that says, here's how you operate this piece of machinery, would you just throw it away and say, well, I'll just guess?
No.
You follow the instructions, the machine will work as it's designed to work to your advantage. If you don't follow the instructions, the machine will still operate, but not necessarily to your advantage. The instruction manual is designed to give you the clarity to allow the mechanism to work to your advantage. That's why we share it with you. Always go back to the instruction manual. Always go back to the formula. You have a question, go back to the formula. You feel stuck, go back to the formula. It's all there is. We may spend many lovely hours with all of you clarifying, deepening your understanding of the instructions in the instruction manual, giving you more details so you can wrap your minds around it. That's fine. But there are no more instructions. We've given you the entire instruction manual. There will never be anything else we need to add to it except to clarify what's already there, which we are happy to do. But there is nothing else you need to ask for. Just go back to the instruction manual. Just go back to the formula. It works. That's why we share it with you.
Thank you.
Is this helping?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
And a you good day.
Good day. I'm just wondering, how do I negotiate impulsivity versus highest excitement?
How do you tell the difference?
Yes.
Are you saying you cannot tell the difference between anxiety and excitement?
Oh.
Is that what you're saying? It's all right if that's
I guess
what you're
that's
saying,
what
but
I'm
is
saying.
that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Can you not tell the difference between anxiety and excitement? Really?
No, I think I can.
All right. Then you know the difference between impulsivity and excitement.
Okay.
Because impulsivity is usually the product of anxiety, yes?
Yes, that makes sense.
You're desperate to do something. You think we'll miss out on something. If this doesn't happen, you make an impulsive move. That comes from anxiety. All this takes is honest self-investigation, to be honestly aware of what you believe to be true in any given circumstance where you suddenly feel impulsive or anxious. And ask yourself why. Take a moment, take a step back, relax, go, all right, I'm experiencing this impulsiveness. I know it's connected to anxiety. Anxiety must mean I'm holding on to a definition that's out of alignment, a fear-based definition. What could that be? Let me investigate. Let me find out what it is. Let me bring it to light. Then I can let it go. Then I will simply know the difference more clearly between my excitement and my anxiety. That's how it works. Use that time. When it comes up, stay there with it. Investigate it. Find out what the definition is that's generating it. Because you already know that you cannot have an emotion in a vacuum. You cannot feel anything until you have a definition you believe is true. If you understand that mechanism, understand the structure of existence that works that way, then you will know anytime you feel anything, you can always trace it back to something you believe to be true. Mm-hmm. And that's how it works. And you stay with it because that's the point of your life. When you feel those things, the point is to stay there and work with it. Again, there's nowhere more important you need to be.
Yes.
Nowhere more important than being here and now with what's happening. Because that's what gives you the next step. If you ignore the stepping stone you're on, you have no place to step from to the next stone. Use that stone and your path will be fully lined and fully lit. Does this help you?
Yes, thank you.
Was there something else?
Yes. In regards to time travel,
Yes.
what are our dreams?
Well, your dreams can be above and beyond the space-time continuum. They can still experience a kind of time, but it's much more slippery. You can have really experiences with almost no time lag at all. As soon as you believe something to be true, that's what you will actually literally experience around you as if it were still physical, but you will know that it's not. And therefore you can sort of transcend the idea of the space-time framework on the spirit level. And that is sometimes what dreams are representative of. Experiences you're having on the spirit level, transcending the space-time matrix. And then when you wake up, your physical mind does the best it can to draw upon symbols it's familiar with to represent what it is you experienced in a realm that the physical mind doesn't even understand. That's why sometimes your dreams seem very crazy and very symbolic and representative and don't really seem to make sense when you wake up, although they seem to make perfect sense when you're in them. Is because, again, the physical mind has to create a representation for you to remember. So it's going, well, let's see what's on my palette here. I don't have that color. Well, this one will do. Is that good enough? That's what it's doing. And so you wake up and you go, oh, that was an interesting dream. The best way to understand it is that it is usually representative symbolically of certain processes you're going through, certain experiences you're having within yourself. But it can actually be, in a sense, a memory of something you did on another level. It can be many different things. But the physical mind isn't always capable of representing exactly what happened on a different level. But it will do the best it can. Does that help?
Yes.
Anything else?
That's it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasant dreams.
Greetings, Bashar.
And a good day.
You have described us as masters of limitation.
Yes, I have. But remember,
Yes, sir.
it's masters of limitation, but also masters of limitation.
Yes.
Yes?
Right.
Big difference, yes?
Yes, masters of limitation.
All right.
So, from your perspective,
Yes.
is our human experience best described as an advanced college course,
Yes.
summer school for failed students?
No, advanced college course.
So, not detention after school either.
Graduating class. Allowing yourself to choose to experience a reality of such incredible limitation means you know you're strong enough to transform it.
Yes.
Masters of limitation, therefore, you're getting your master's degree.
Yes. Good.
Not kindergarten, not summer school holdbacks. Now, you can experience it that way, but again, remember, the experience description is vastly different from the actual mechanism. Yes?
Yes.
So, you can certainly create it to appear as if you are in detention because you refuse to learn and have to be held back. You can experience it that way, as if you're in kindergarten and know nothing and look at the big kids and envy them. You can experience it that way, but that's not what's happening.
Does that master class description describe our current class, or is it also describe, let's say, 1,000 years ago?
It's always been that way. It's just that you're becoming more aware of the fact that it's always been that way. When you weren't aware of the fact, then there was more of an agreement that it felt like something more like a kindergarten. Although there have always been individuals who understood the idea of mastery. That's why you've had teachers and guides and advanced beings in your society from time to time who are willing to tell you, no, 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 you are masters.
Yes.
Yes?
Does the illusion of murder and violence, is that unique to our situation, or is that common in the
No, but it's not that common.
Okay.
In the way that you experience it, to the degree that you experience it, we haven't run across it that often. It's relatively rare because not that many civilizations we've encountered are that steeped in forgetfulness. They many times look to you and realize that if you can transform the degree of limitation that you've experienced, then whatever challenges they have are a walk in the park.
Is that forgetfulness, is that self-imposed or
Yes.
self-imposed?
Well, it's self-imposed in the sense that you realize that that's the game you're playing. That's the rules you're abiding by. In other words, you have to forget who you are to that degree in order to experience the depth of transformation that you're looking to experience.
Where you come from, Bashar, is the murder violence known or
We are aware of it, but we don't experience it, if that's what you mean.
ever?
Well, no, because that's not a choice that seems logical to us. It doesn't make sense for us to choose that. So, no thank you. We don't invalidate it as an experience. We understand that darkness always exists, but we choose what we prefer without invalidating what we don't prefer. And therefore, there's no need for us to experience those things because we understand what it is we are all about. We understand what it is we prefer, and we understand how to choose it consciously with awareness. And it really just makes no sense for us to choose anything else. That's part of the process that you're all going through, is getting to the point where nothing but positive choice makes any sense. That's really what it comes down to. It just doesn't make sense to choose anything else.
Yes. So in the terms of all that is,
Yes.
obviously the illusion of murder and violence is somewhat a part of all that.
Not somewhat, it is a part.
It is a part.
Well, there's nothing outside of all that is,
Yes.
by definition. So how could it be other than an expression within it?
And does that mean that, I mean, it is murder violence, I guess, is the illusion of like killing a part of yourself, basically.
It is, and it comes from belief in the idea of disconnection and lack. Because you are feeling an emptiness by believing in disconnection from source. And you're trying to fill that emptiness with what you have been taught to believe is an expression of power, which usually, when you have that kind of an experience, is expressed through domination and force and attempts to control. And then that leads to those kinds of things, murder, violence, what have you. But when you understand you are connected, there is no emptiness and there is no need to do those things because you understand that you are a part of everything, everything is a part of you, and what's the point?
Yes.
Because you are self-empowered enough to have whatever you need without having to hurt yourself or anyone else in that process. It makes no sense. You're only diminishing yourself.
So most of the creation then chooses positive. Would you say that most, or?
I'm going to only be capable of putting it this way, as I have before. When you think about it, creation is not a duality. It is a trinity. There is always the balance point in the center. Yes? You with me so far?
Yes.
Because the balance point in the center is a neutral position, it still gives you the freedom to choose what you prefer. Therefore, it could be said that existence is slightly biased toward the positive. You could say it's 51% positive and 49% negative. Therefore, the current, the flow of creation, always draws you in the positive direction. Therefore, the majority, whatever kinds of percentages you may want to give it, of everything we have ever discussed,